Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are covering the AP Top 25. It just came out. And looking at the bottom here, we have Kentucky, Texas A&M, Arkansas, and Clemson. Texas A&M drops a shocker to LSU. There have been rumors swirling around that Jimbo Fisher could potentially take the job at LSU, but he has harshly declined those every single time he's been prompted with it. Coach O's final game, likely, unless they do get a bowl game, which is possible since LSU has 6 wins. But a shocking game. Definitely thought Texas A&M was going to come out of this one with a victory. They drop now from 14 to 24. Arkansas gets a nice win over Missouri, and there's Clemson once again. As we scroll up here a little bit further, we see some familiar faces: Wake Forest, San Diego State, Louisiana Lafayette, and North Carolina State, who's been really nice this year. I'm kind of shocked of how well they've played thus far. Sam Hartman and Wake Forest, hanging in that top 20. This is a good team, very good program. Definitely on the up for sure. And San Diego State just has that one loss on their resume. Overall, really good season for them so far. And we're going to go ahead and jump into the next grouping here, because this is where it starts to get, this is where it really starts to matter at this point. And we look at Pittsburgh picking up another win this week. Houston as well. They also have just that one loss on their resume. Iowa gets a big win versus Nebraska in the Big Ten. Therefore, now it's going to be Iowa and Michigan in that Big Ten championship. More to come on Michigan. However, Iowa's a team that has been up and down this year. Definitely, there were a lot of expectations for this team. At one point in the year, they were ranked as high as second in the entire nation. Dropped 2 games that they probably shouldn't have. But nevertheless, a successful season for Iowa. They're going to get a chance at that Big Ten championship and earn themselves a really nice bowl game. In addition to that, Utah's another team that's been slowly climbing in that Pac-12. It's been kind of underrated all year long, but they've been able to stockpile some wins recently, the last couple of weeks. And now this is the big one to me in this grouping. That is Oklahoma. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, we knew it was going to be a phenomenal game, and it lived up to all the hype. Caleb Williams had 3 touchdowns, no picks in that game. They won the turnover battle, and they still unfortunately lost the game. They also dominated the time of possession as well. This is a team that held the ball for 35 minutes. So that you would really think, when you look statistically speaking at this game, you would have thought Oklahoma had won that one. However, they did not come out on top, which is a little shocking to me. I was really impressed with how Oklahoma State came out. Spencer Sanders did have 2 picks in that game. However, Oklahoma State's defense is legit. I've been trying to explain that, the last couple of weeks here. This is a really good team. However, I think they're slightly limited. But more on Oklahoma. This squad, disappointing. This is a team that had college football playoff aspirations, right? Started the year with Spencer Rattler, and then you make that transition to Caleb Williams. They had played some of their worst opponents a little too close, and we knew that at some point they were going to drop one of those really tight contested games. And now they lose to a really great Oklahoma State team. So unfortunately, they dropped down to 13. And that was shocking to me. I thought Oklahoma was going to come out on top. However, that is not how it played out. And now looking at the next grouping, BYU picked up another nice win this weekend. You got Michigan State here at 11. And now we're jumping into that top 10. And this is where it's really key here. You have Oregon, you have Baylor, who played a tight game. You had Ole Miss. Ole Miss was able to beat Mississippi State in their last game. Matt Corral had an up and down day for Ole Miss and the Rebels. So looking at that, it doesn't really shock me with what we're seeing right here. I think these are pretty accurate for how I feel they should actually rank. And now here's the big one, right? So we're gonna jump right here to number 6. Notre Dame had an absolutely dominating performance against Stanford, and Ohio State. That was the big game of the weekend. We knew going into it, this was huge for the college football playoff implications. Now with the 2 losses, it makes it extremely difficult for them to get in there. There's not been a single team in the college football playoff format history that's made it into the playoff with a 2-loss resume. Ohio State, they offensively, they were very good. They kept fighting. It's a tough team to defend through the air, especially CJ Stroud really put on a pretty good display against that Michigan defense. And you have Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Smith and Jigba. That's a really, really talented group. All could be first round wide receivers in the NFL draft. Unfortunately, they fall short. Definitely was expecting this one to be very, very tight, and it was the entire game as well. So it lived up to all the hype. And Notre Dame, once again, does not surprise me that they are number 6. And now this is where, they had a big win and were really dominant. They did fall this week from 5 to 6. And, it's more of the product of, who won this weekend that pushed people up. We are going to have Oklahoma State at 5. This is not at all shocking. Really good defense this year, really good running game as well. Jaylen Warren didn't even, have that many yards against Oklahoma, still were able to get the victory. That offense is solely predicated on the run game. They really, really focus that. A team that used to be a vertical threat team years ago under Mike Gundy has completely reshifted their identity. I love this. Oklahoma State, they beat a lot of quality opponents. They beat 4 teams in the top 25 so far this year, which is really, really impressive. That's a huge thing on a resume. Some of these other top teams only have 1 win against top 25 teams. So that's something to keep in mind when looking at the overall resume of a team. So Oklahoma State, very deserving here at 5. At number 4, you have Alabama, played a very close game against Auburn, came down to an overtime. They needed it, but they nevertheless, they picked up a victory. They move on. They are number 4. There are some people that have an issue with Alabama being in the college football playoff, in the view of it right now. There's so many people that think they are undeserving. At this rate, though, it's a talented roster, a good running game, and obviously very talented receivers in John Mechie and Jamison Williams, along with a stud quarterback and Bryce Young. Now we are jumping into the meat and potatoes. Once again, here we go. Number 3 revealed is the Cincinnati Bearcats. Cincinnati should not surprise you. They've won all of their games so far this year. They're a tough out. They really are. Desmond Ridder is a big-time playmaker. They have NFL talent all across the board. Ahmad Gardner being one of them, star corner, very, very, very likely a first-round pick. You have Myjai Sanders as well. This team is not messing around. Luke Fickell has this program going in the right direction. There's been a ton of rumors swirling around about his potential exit to take a bigger job at potentially an SEC school. There's been rumors once again about that LSU job, the Florida job. There is so much going on about him getting a promotion to going somewhere else. It's going to be tough for Cincinnati to keep him. However, it'd be huge if they could, because he has done a fantastic job with the program, has really, really turned this into a great roster and a team that's ready to compete. And I think they can really actually compete with some of these big dogs here for sure. Despite them being in the American Athletic Conference, I don't think that should really take away with how great they've been this year. Sure, their strength of schedule hasn't been like crazy or anything. However, they can beat quality opponents, and that is a proven fact. Moving on to number 2, the biggest riser, biggest winner of the weekend, Michigan, always struggles to beat Ohio State. They were able to do it in Ann Arbor. They go from 6 to 2. Should not be shocking at all to anybody, just because of the magnitude of the win and how much it means to this program. Now they have a tough task next weekend when they head to the Big Ten Championship to go ahead and face Iowa. Michigan is going to be a tough out. I think they are going to win the Big Ten Championship, and they really control their own destiny in it. So Michigan here, they deserve it for how they played. Hassan Haskins was great in that game. They really relied on him. And the other guy that's even more notable in that game was Aiden Hutchinson. He had 3 sacks. He has 13 on the year. He has a Michigan school record for that matter. And he was absolutely incredible. A guy that is definitely going to be a top 10 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. And then finally, we leave with Georgia. Georgia, no surprise here. Great in the run game. Opportunistic in the passing game as well. They also have a terrific defense, great front 7, great corner play, really good on that back end at the safety spots as well. This is a dangerous team, and it feels like a little exhausting. We keep talking about them being the number 1 team. There's a reason for that, guys. They are so talented across the board. They're tough to beat. They're matchup driven. I love Georgia for sure. I think that they should be the favorites to win the title. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for them to really get over the hump. They haven't won a national title since 1980, and they are primed and ready to go ahead and win one this year. However, they have some tough contestants to try to beat in this college football playoff. Michigan's proving that they are true contenders after that big Ohio State win. And obviously, Alabama, Cincinnati, those teams in that area, even Oklahoma State, they're very, very worthy opponents for sure. So I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. Also, leave the like if you do enjoy college football content. We'd love having you guys around. Let us know in the comment section below who you think will win the national title after seeing these games this weekend. The picture is getting more and more clear. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you in our next video.